Small habits make a big difference. You can become unrecognizable in a short period of time. And everyone can do it. It's just a matter of consistency and willpower, which are both qualities we all have. You might have not just been using them to best of your abilities. Maybe you're someone who is stuck in doing the same thing all over again, every day in, day out. Or maybe you're someone who is lost, unsure of how to proceed or what to do next. Everyone who has made videos like this on YouTube are people who have gone through a similar transformation themselves. There's many ways in getting there, and I'll share the things I did so you can take the actual steps in making that transformation happen for yourself. Because honestly, it's not only about positive affirmations and journaling, which are also great tools, but if you're not looking within, really figuring out what are the blockages and old dusty beliefs you have yourself, which are blocking you from getting to where you want to be, to making the change you want to make, you're only doing half of the work. This transformation series is going to be in 4 parts. The first week is about awareness and becoming familiar with the life that you're living right now and how your ideal life looks like. Becoming aware of the basics and where you really need to focus in order to change these habits. The second week is about your non-negotiables. What are the things that you want in your life? What are the things that you're enjoying at the moment, which are already in your life? We will go through ways in how to do this. On the third week, we will be looking at blockages. I'll share the things that have helped me in changing my beliefs around mindset and self-worth. This week is all about being honest and raw with yourself. The fourth week is about self-reflection. What have you learned during the first 3 weeks? What have you changed? In the last episode, we will plan the next 6 months in your life. In this first week, the most important thing to really take from this video is that you have to start now. Don't be putting it off any longer. Just decide to start. Because once you're doing the same things that you've always done, you'll get the same result that you've always gotten. There will be no change in your life if you're not willing to change and actually intentionally start taking steps towards this change. Don't wait until it's New Year or until you feel like doing it. Because frankly, there will never be a perfect time to start. It's really based on your decisiveness to start and taking actionable steps toward it. It took me 10 years to get to where I am now. And it hasn't been an easy process. And it never really ends. It's almost like every day that you learn something new about yourself or you've been able to change a habit, there's always something else that you can start implementing or changing or really transforming in yourself. One thing leads to another and you get motivated by all the challenges that you've overcome. In the beginning, I thought that I wasn't good enough. I thought what others might think of me. I thought that I was not worthy of receiving more, of being better. Like Ernest Nightingale said, the time will pass anyway. We might as well put that time to the best possible use. In the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, he says how we should be focusing on systems instead of goals. It's because once you actually reach your goal, but you haven't looked into the systems that you're living in, there is a high possibility that you will slip into the old habit again. So if you're having trouble in changing your habit, the problem is not you. The problem is your system. Another important takeaway from the book is that the habits that you're wanting to change should be identity-based. Your current behaviors are simply a reflection of your current reality. The habits that you're having at this very moment is because you are the person that you are at this very moment. Change your identity and you're able to change your habits. And as simple as it sounds, it's not the easiest process, so let me explain. So decide what kind of person you want to become and think about the habits that this person would have. It's the most easiest way to understand how to change your habits because, for example, if you're a person like I was who rarely read books, it was very difficult for me to see myself outside of this reality doing those things because I always thought that I was this person who was not doing those things. I was actually even manifesting through my words. I was always telling everyone how I'm not the kind of person who would walk anywhere. I'm always taking my car everywhere I went. And I was emphasizing this notion about myself. And I actually believed it. I had to change this thought about myself because the version of me, which I knew I was, deep down, I knew that she would be reading, she would be going on walks, on daily walks, she would be an overall active, more healthy version. Once I became more accustomed to this version of me, it was more easier to understand and accept this change in habit. The seed of every habit is a tiny single decision. So in order for you to understand what kind of habits you have now, we really need to look deeper into your life. I really need you to be very honest and intentional in how you answer these questions. Evaluate where you are in life. What kind of job are you working? How do you feel about your relationships? Do you feel fulfilled and loved? How do you spend your free time? Do you have something you look forward doing? How would you describe yourself as a person? What things are you proud of, and what are some things you'd like to let go of? After you've answered these questions, write down how would you like your ideal life to look like? What would you be doing on a daily basis? How would you feel about yourself and your life? Where would you live? Lately, I've been using prompts on ChatGPT, and I've asked it to write down my ideal life. I've given it details about my ideal life, how it looks like, what I would be doing, what kind of days I would be having, who I would be living with. So just telling it everything that I want it to know about my future life. And then I'll just let it write. And I have to say, the results are astonishing. Firstly, because I understood that what I was reading was possible for me. And second was that what it gave me was actually partly already my reality. So if you find it a bit difficult for you to envision this future version of yourself, you can just go to ChatGPT and let it write this day out for you. Then save this text somewhere when no one can see it and keep it there. I have been hugely able to shift my life with this 4-week challenge. I've been doing this for many times for myself, and I've noticed such huge changes in my personality, in my daily life, and even my career. So whenever I want to shift some area of my life, I come back to these exercises, and I usually do it throughout a 30-day period. And you can repeat it whenever you feel like you want to make a change in your life. And I want to add one thing. Please be patient. Understand that it has taken years in becoming the person that you are today. Understand that transformation takes time, and relearning some habits and thought processes that you have might take some time. But if you're patient and consistent, you can change your habits, and through that you can change your identity and how you view yourself. And this time it won't take you years to transform, because you're more intentional in what you're doing. And if you're unsure of how to change systems or change this concept of your life, we will be doing 2 exercises during this first week in which you are reprogramming your mind to feel and believe that this new version of you can exist. So start this first week with journaling. That ChatGPT text you have, use that as an inspiration to rewrite your ideal life every day. Just pick a time that feels right for you and you feel more relaxed in putting the time into writing this. This will usually take about 10 to 15 minutes of your day. It has a huge impact in sort of letting your mind wander and feel and envision the life that you want. Anything that feels like this new version of you would naturally have. When I do this exercise, I usually like to use this audio to even more emphasize the writing process, because this audio is enhanced with affirmations. So whenever I put it on, I feel like my mind is more receptive during the writing process and is more open to accept this new reality that I'm writing about. The next thing that you're going to do this week is to listen to subliminals. Your subconscious mind is the driver and your conscious mind is the vehicle. Affirmations and living as if might work for some, but if you have blockages or old belief systems that are really restricting you to moving forward, it almost feels like you're lying to yourself, because your body will block it. Your subconscious mind won't believe what you're trying to feed it. And as long as your subconscious mind is not on board with what you're doing, you might not be able to really permanently change this habit. This is why you might hear some people say that affirmations won't work for them, because there might be such deep beliefs that are going against these affirmations, and it almost feels like you're just saying lies out loud and your body recognizes that they are not truths. Listening to subliminals during your sleep is because your mind is more receptive to any sorts of suggestions. Subliminals usually have a specific frequency attached to them, and beneath this frequency audio track, there's usually affirmations that are being said. So when you are sleeping, you are subconsciously hearing these affirmations and you're really taking it in while you sleep. This has been profoundly transformative way of changing my old beliefs, which were very, very difficult to change. I did a lot of affirmations and EFT, I did a lot of meditations, and I was just so frustrated that I couldn't change specific habits, and I just didn't have any sort of trust or self-love towards myself, because I thought that I was not able to make the transformation I wanted to make. And once I started to listening subliminals, It really changed the way I wake up into the day, the way I saw myself in doing different things. It's almost like it opened a pathway for me to trust that what I was doing was eventually going to have a positive outcome. So I had a lot more motivation behind everything that I was doing. I've listened to them with headphones when I go to bed, but now lately I've changed listening these subliminals just through a speaker, and I put it on to be almost like an ambience noise in the background when I sleep, so that I can hear some of the words and some of the sounds, but I can still fall asleep quite easily. Try it out and see what works for you. I love this one from Sonya A. She has multiple good ones. There's different subliminals for abundance, or you can have a subliminal for your self-worth or self-love. So whatever you feel like is something that you want to actively change, choose a subliminal with a topic that would best work for you. This first week is all about understanding your habits you have now and understanding what are the actual steps you can take in order to change that. I understood that letting go of the habits that were no longer serving me really opened up this new reality of me just becoming a better person in general. I felt like I was more able to be present with my friends and family. I became more loving towards myself and my goals. I understood that not everything happens at the exact time that I wanted to change. So I became more present and still in what I was doing, and I just started to excel in other parts of my life too. And the most important for me was that I became very patient with myself. I understood that change might take time depending on how big of a change we're talking about. Because the bigger the change, the bigger the habit, the more time it might take for you to actually be able to change it. So whatever is on your list, pick 2 to 3 things that you want to change during these 4 weeks. Even better if these habits are somehow tied together, like becoming an active person, starting exercising, and maybe looking into what you're consuming in your diet. This way you're actually changing the systems too. Because you can't change all the things at once, because we only have a restricted amount of willpower per day. Focus on the habits that have the biggest impact. When considering habits, you need to assess and consider intrinsic and external motivators. Intrinsic motivators come purely from within. It's not due to any outside reward, deadline, or outside pressure. Extrinsic motivation can increase your motivation in a short period of time, but after a while it can wear down and become non-sustaining. So instead, focus on awareness, being somewhat uncomfortable, focus on consistency while doing something repeatedly, and also self-control and willpower. To easier break or change a habit, you need to also look at the environment that you're in, because the environment is your system. It is hugely difficult to change a habit if you are in an environment or a system that doesn't change. I was focusing a lot of my time and energy in things that were not taking me further in life, and I was not really aware of time passing. I understand the fact that I thought I was doing things that I enjoyed doing, and of course I'm not saying that my life completely lost meaning, because I became more intentional, and before that I was not seeing any progress, but I was using a lot more time in meeting people I didn't want to meet. I was wasting my time on social media and scrolling, never did the things that I promised myself to do. And especially when I turned 35, I realized that the time is really limited. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I decided that I needed to change at that very moment. And after that, I started to take small steps towards change. For me, the biggest one was starting this channel and starting to post weekly content. I had to learn how to edit videos, how to script them. I had to learn how to use video equipment. Even if I had photography background, I still felt like I was on new territory and I didn't know how to proceed with that. I had to learn to speak more fluently in English. There was a lot of things I had no idea in doing. And I would want to say that it was easy, but it truly wasn't. I felt that I had a lot of negative beliefs about myself and the possible future I saw for myself. So I had to change things one by one. And it was definitely not linear. I felt that the more I learned about myself, the more I wanted to learn and transform. Some things that I didn't even think were connected to each other actually were. So changing one thing led me to more easily change another thing. If you watch this video till the end, I urge you to take the first step now. Think about where you could be in 3 months or even 1 month, because you're the creator of your own life. I'll see you next week.